What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global back here with another video, and in this one, we're going to be doing another training camp recap here for the New England Patriots. We took a couple days off here from these just because essentially nothing was happening, but today is an important one because it is being described as the best practice for New England so far. So this recap is going to be for 8/24/2020, which again, August 24th, 2020. So, some things straight off the bat. The past couple days, the New England Patriots kind of were just in shorts and shells, but today they were back in full pads. Now, as for the people absent, there was a good amount. Sony Michel, Lamar Miller, no surprise here. Jeff Thomas, he was absent yet again. At this point, I don't see any way this guy is making the final roster. Jake Burt, Yannick Kajust, Bo Allen, and Stefan Gilmore. For those worried about Stefan Gilmore, from what we've heard, he's been absent for a little while, but it's due to a family concern, nothing injury-wise. As for the people that returned to practice today, we have James White, J.J. Taylor, Tashawn Bower, Michael Jackson, D'Angelo Ross, and Kyle Duggar. As for the players that were limited, we had Jarrett Stidham, Jacoby Myers, Adrian Phillips, and Kyle Duggar. So, of course, something to watch there. Two of the Patriots safeties here, Adrian Phillips and Kyle Duggar, both limited. And of course, one of those guys, if not essentially both of those guys, is going to be a big part in helping to replace Patrick Chung and the fact that, again, we traded Deron Harmon to the Lions this offseason. Another big note that I'm not going to get too much into the details of, I'm going to be making it a separate video because it is actually very important, is that Cash Maluia left practice early today. He was grabbing his right pec. Ossie put a really good block on him, but Cash ended up falling and landing on Devin Ross. Terez Hall, the linebacker, was another guy that also left practice early, walked off the field slowly, but we just don't know what happened. It just seems like a pretty rough past few weeks for New England, just everybody getting banged up. But it's not even a New England thing. This is just league-wide. Probably because we're getting into football so late into the process and we're trying to condense it within a few weeks. You haven't been conditioning the entire offseason, trying to squeeze everything in, with football, being athletic and trying to train your body like that. You're going to run into some issues because you're not conditioning all offseason. Now, it was considered and I quote, slip and slide day for the New England Patriots. Both the rookies and coaches and players did a drill where they would try to recover and dive on a wet football while Matthew Slater sprayed them with a hose. Classic Bill Belichick move, trying to really recreate the situational football for times that they're playing in the snow or rain or any situation like that. As for the quarterbacks, Cam Newton fumbled on a goal line drill. Then Chase Winovich returned it for a touchdown. Of course, because of this, Cam Newton did have to run a lap. Cam Newton threw one of his best passes today in all of practice when his intentional read wasn't there. He flipped the field and found Dalton Keene down the field. Really good play there by Cam Newton to really extend the play and although it didn't work out the way he was hoping, still made a really good play out of it. Overall, this was a pretty iffy day for Cam. He's really been on the upcline rather than the decline, so maybe just a bad day for him overall. Accuracy was up and down, but that's what you get with Cam Newton in general. So, as for Jarrett Stidham, he was more active today. He's looking better too, but of course he is still limited after that injury. Stidham threw a really good pass today also with anticipation over the middle of the field and connected with no other than Devin Ross. As for 11 on 11s, Cam Newton went 10 for 19, Stidham went 2 for 4, and Hoyer went 11 for 14. 7 on 7s, Newton went 5 for 7, while Stidham went 2 for 3. It's going to be it for the quarterback. So moving on to the running backs. Rex Burkhead caught a touchdown pass from Cam Newton. Really seems to be the star running back, the go-to running back right now with, Miller and Sony still being out. Damien Harris once again appears to be really one of the top running backs for the New England Patriots. Him and Rex Burkhead are definitely fighting for that. And I would say today, Damien Harris looked like that top running back. He runs really hard, runs really well, pretty elusive. He got a lot of work on 7-on-7s, and there was a lot of emphasis on the run game during that time period. Now, as for the wide receivers in one-on-ones, Julian Edelman and Gunnar Olszewski had wins over Jackson, of course, J.C. Jackson, and Jonathan Jones. As for Mohamed Sanu, he also went 2-0 in his one-on-ones. There were two very easy matchups for him. Nicu Harry had his best day of camp so far and looked like a first-round wide receiver. That is what we want to hear. Nikhil Harry only had one other good day in the beginning of practice. Since then, I have not heard any good things about him. He did start off with one run route. You would really hope that by now he wouldn't have issues like that. But then he did beat Jawan Williams on a twisting back shoulder. He also had a win versus Bryant in one-on-ones. And then later had a touchdown grab from Cam Newton on a goal line fade over Jackson. The caught touchdown that he had was a slant with J.C. Jackson in coverage. He also got a lot of praise from his coaches for his run blocking. So honestly, at this point, I would say the best thing about Nikhil Harry right now, probably his run blocking. Even the guys that he's going up against minus J.C. Jackson aren't super competitive. So the fact that, hey, he's getting open against someone like Jawan Williams or Bryant, that's, to me, nothing that really truly stands out. Gunnar Olszewski had to run a lap today for fumbling, and Devin Ross had also a drop today, and that's going to conclude the wide receivers. Now, before we get into the tight ends, guys, as I'm sure you already know, there is no shortage of action going on with our exclusive partners, BetOnline. Sports are slowly making their way back with the UFC, NASCAR, and soccer leading that way, and BetOnline has all of the best odds and lines for the upcoming matches this weekend. If you need more than that, of course, BetOnline has simulated NFL, NBA, and UFC events happening every single day, and they are live for you to check out. If you guys are looking for something other than sports, BetOnline has you covered because they have hundreds of live casino games, poker tournaments, and all of the best props in the business. Guys, go ahead and visit betonline.ag or use your mobile device and join now to receive your new welcome bonus and start playing today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Now, moving on to the tight end position, there's not going to be too much to say here, but both Olszewski and Dalton Keene, the two rookie tight ends, got a lot of run work today. Devin Olszewski won nicely on a dig route. Newton found him open. Really continues to just be that number one wide receiver. As for the offensive lineman, not really anything to say. Defensive lineman Chase Winovich was active today. He recorded a sack on a Cam Newton scramble and also scored that touchdown when Newton did fumble. Adam Butler had a sack on a perfectly executed stunt by the Patriots defensive line. And Derek Rivers also would have had a sack. Really good to finally hear his name because I think a lot of people are forgetting that he's still on the New England Patriots. Moving on to the linebackers, again, not too much to say. We already talked about Cash, but Josh Uche is really going to be the lone guy here with news. He looked much better today versus the run. It appears that the staff is starting to figure out really where and how they are going to use him. He also had 2 pressures and sacks. Moving on to the cornerback position, J.C. Jackson was having some real feisty snaps today with wide receiver Gunnar Olszewski. Jackson had 1 PBU in one-on-ones. Gunnar later got the best of him and are on a great route. It really seems like that is a big matchup in camp, has been like J.C. Jackson and Gunnar Olszewski, and the fact that that is even a battle, I think should just go to show how much Gunnar Olszewski has truly progressed since we've seen him last season. J.C. Jackson, one of the best corners in the league. He's a top 10 corner. This isn't my opinion. Statistically, this is where the NFL, PFF, this is where he is being ranked, and the fact that J.C. Jackson being as good of a corner as he is, and him and Gunnar Olszewski are really going at it and are doing pretty even, makes me feel very comfortable about Gunnar Olszewski for 2020. But moving on, Jason Mccourty is someone who would have had a sack today. Michael Jackson had a very, very good practice today, very competitive, and his size really stood out during some of the plays. Really interesting here about Michael Jackson. Now, he's someone who you never really heard anything about. They trade for a conditional 7th round pick. And he's been a pretty good standout in practice ever since, despite it being very late into the process and whatnot. Miles Bryant also had an interception off of a Cam Newton pass, made a bad decision throwing into double coverage. Miles Bryant, a guy that has definitely made his name heard, but will he make the roster overall? Probably not. As for safeties, there was really no news. Like we talked about, Kyle Duggar and Adrian Phillips were both limited today. As for special teams, Juwan Williams spent a lot of time today with Matthew Slater and Justin Bethel. I think that's extremely interesting here. Let's remember the New England Patriots put a second-round pick on this guy, and he is working with the special team aces. So, interesting and something to watch there. As for the kicking session, Justin Rowasser went 3 for 4, while Nick Folk went 4 for 4. All kicks were from the 40-yard range. Another solid day overall for Jake Bailey. Booming punts as usual. Just continues to impress. I mean, it's Jake Bailey. None of us are surprised. But that is going to be it for today's video. This is a recap for the New England Patriots on August 24th of 2020. Make sure you guys leave a big like on this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet for all of your New England Patriots news. And if you want to get more information on the Patriots training camp, I've made more videos like this, several of them, so go ahead and check those out also. But like always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.